I'm coming to you this evening just sitting on the floor in my bedroom. I've lined up all those canned goods that you just saw that I have pressure canned or either water bath canned because some of it's pickles. I've got it all lined up on my wall in my bedroom outside of my closet because I don't really know where to put it all. It's not a huge amount. It's not a huge amount, but it is an amount that needs to be placed somewhere. And that opens a can of worms. Anybody that cans, anybody that preps food, anybody that rotates out food knows that you get in a dilemma when you have new food because it needs to go to the back of the shelf. Your older food needs to come forward and you need to start eating the older food first. As much as this looks good to me, as much as I'd like to dig into some of this right now, the fact that it has 23 written at the end of the date means that it's going to be a few years before I really get into it and taste it, because I've got a lot of stuff that I need to rotate out, and that's got to be a big priority for me. This is not my proudest moment to show my organization skills back here, but when we moved into our house, I had all of this stuff organized precisely. I had the newer dates to the back, the older dates to the front, and I really committed myself to rotate all of this out. I don't know how 6 months have slipped away from me, and I haven't done as good a job as I wanted to do, but they have slipped away. This gap you see right here is where my pickles used to be, and I did use up all of the pickles that I had there. I did use them up, but the meats and especially purple hull peas and things like that, I've got a lot of okra, things like that just did not get used up like they should. And look how much I still have that dates back to 2020. I don't think I have anything in 2019 anymore. I think I have done a good enough job to rotate that out, but I definitely know I have 2020, 2021, and 2022 stuff there. And it goes on. It goes on. I need to make it where all of the items that are stacked outside of this closet against that wall come in here. And I need to make double sure that the 2020 items get used up in the next few months. That's my goal right now. Even if you do a good job of organizing, like I think I did when we moved in. I think I did. I found a place for everything and everything in its place. I did everything by dates. I dusted everything. It was all organized. And it has been like having a little grocery store that I can come in here and grab a can of something if I need it and go straight to the kitchen with it. This is in my master closet, and I don't always want it to be in here, but right now that's the way it has to be, because when we moved into this trailer, even though I have a pretty good amount of square footage in the trailer, I don't have an extraordinary amount of closet space outside of this master closet. Let me show you my dilemma. Here's my closet at the end of the hall. I'm being completely humble when I open this because please don't judge me too hard. I know it's a little junky looking. It's actually a closet I go to constantly and grab things, so I can't help it if it looks a little junky. What all this is things I need, or things that I don't use very often, like my dehydrator, like my big Magnolite pot that's huge, like my bread machine, the white bread machine there. I even have like a meat grinder, toaster oven, a little heater, an Alexa Pro. I have things in there that I don't use very often, but you have to have somewhere to put them, and I do not want to store them out in my 18-wheeler container. I have extra supplies of paper towels up there. This whole box is full of light bulbs. This is all kind of cutlery that I've collected through the years with plastic forks and things, so I need all that. This right here is my lifeline. This is all my canning utensils. This is all the salts for my canning, and this is all the sure gels and things like that that I would need if I made jellies. This little rack here is full of all of my lids and bands, and separated into Ziplocs between regular mouth and wide mouth. And then at the bottom is my pressure canner sitting on top of my water bath canner, and then extra jugs of vinegar, which I have definitely used lately. So I need all these things. I need my little box of tools that I'm constantly using around the house. I wanted to keep tools here, my drill there, and everything else. Okay, so where in the world would I put pressure can food in this closet? Nowhere. I don't have room. And also, I don't stack my pressure can food. Some people do. They will argue that you can do that, and they'll put plywood on top of it, thick cardboard, and things like that. And that's fine. I do think if it works for you and you've never had problems, then do it. I just don't personally want to stack my pressure can food. I just don't want to. So I'm just looking at this closet thinking the worst use of this real estate would be to put a row of quart jars or something along these shelves. And then I would lose all the space on top, you know? So it's best used the way it's used right now. So no pressure can jars in here, that's for sure. Now what about my pantry? This is my pantry. It's where all kind of extra food is supposed to go, right? Well, it's kind of in the same situation. I have wide space shelves, which I like. I could go in here and I could put shelves here and a shelf there, and I could come back and make them narrower so that I could put quart jars all in there. But for me, it serves me better in my house to have space for food. I have all these containers stacked with all kinds of gumbo bases and chicken fries and just everything, pizza crusts. I have boxes here stacked with all kind of stuff from grits to broths and things like that. I'm able to stack up my breadcrumbs. I'm able to stack up all my tea bags and my powdered milk and all up there. It just serves me better to use this pantry in the kitchen as a pantry. I also have lots of totes at the bottom filled with different things. And to me, this space is being used really the best possible way that I could use it. I don't think it would do me any good to take this real estate and turn it into a pressure can jar pantry. I think I need to just keep it how it is. So I'm shutting the door on this, and that's a big no. Where else can I make room? To go back to my can of worms, I have a shelf that's in the middle of my closet that became a catch-all when we were moving in. If I couldn't figure out where to put it, I put it there. So yes, I can probably go through and figure out somewhere to put all these books, all this junk here, all of that there. The shoes, pretty much, I've just shoved them all in there. They're gonna have to stay. But yes, I could probably make some room in here to start putting some extra jars. And I fully intend to do that. And yes, I may even come back and make some extra shelving on one or two of these shelves, because I really could use that extra space for some of this food. My next alternative, and it's the one I think I'm going to go with first and see how far I can get with it, it's the shelf that I built for my dining room. This shelf, I built it to start plants on. And as you can see at the bottom, I still have my light hanging down from when I started some plants a while back. I had to restart some tomatoes and all after that freeze. But I put a screw up there in the top, underneath there, on each end. And I can actually hook that screw in that little space at the end of the light fixture. There's the same thing on both ends. And I can pick this light fixture up and hook it on those screws. And it makes it where you don't even see it. I can prove that by the fact that there's my light fixture at the top. I have it already up there, and you don't even notice it. When you walk in my door and everything, trust me, you just do not know that there's a light fixture up there. So I can do the bottom shelf the same way and get it out of the way. Now the shelf I built that's just like it, that's in my den, it's more decorative. This one over here, I built to be a workstation. And because it's usually just me sitting right here at the table eating and all, I don't mind looking over here and seeing things to do with gardening and all. I like it. So I don't care that it's not covered with decorations. I like it this way. As I said, the first shelf and the second shelf were full of trays with plant starts on it. They were that way from February till April, and it worked out fine, and I was able to move everything outside and plant it. So now that's bare. What I have right now is just a bucket that I have, and it's actually got tomato clips in it. I order a lot of tomato clips from Johnny's every few years, and so I'm storing those there. And then this bucket here actually has my potatoes from last year that I'm holding over for seed potatoes. They really haven't started putting on very many eyes or anything yet, so they'll make good seed potatoes later as they kind of get ready. But right now I'm storing them under this little pillowcase in this basket. In this basket I'm just storing a little North Georgia candy roaster, a couple of cushaws, and a pumpkin that I grew. I'll eat those later and see how they come out. But what this shelf is also doing for me right now is serving as a seed saving little platform. This is all my Ford Hook Gem and Golden Jenny melon seeds that I've accumulated. Look how many of them there are. These are just dead-headed zinnia pods and stuff, so I'll have plenty of zinnia seeds for later. And then this over here is some General Lee cucumber seeds. And I have never had ones where I put them in a jar with water to kind of ferment them, and the bad seeds will rise to the top of the water, the good seeds will sink to the bottom. But on these, only one seed rose to the top, the rest sunk to the bottom, so that's a good sign for me. I just have a couple of little other seeds that I've put there. And this is what I'm talking about with doing seeds like that. You see I've got some honeydew seeds, doing that right now. But look how many rose to the top, and look how many sunk to the bottom, and some can't make up their mind, they're just suspended in air. But you see that, but in the General Lee cucumbers, only one rose to the top and the rest fell to the bottom. So that was pretty good seeds there. So you see, this is a working shelf in my opinion. I only want to dedicate it to serving my needs in gardening. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this bucket off and that basket off, and I'll go place them somewhere else in the house. And then I'm gonna take quart jars and line this whole shelf with them. I'm gonna raise this light, and I'm gonna line this shelf with quart jars. But I'm not lining it with the new things that I just canned and worrying about all that. I'm gonna line it with things from 2020. Because I'm kind of an out of sight, out of mind person, I forget sometimes to go to my jar items in my pantry and pull from it. And I just forget about it. I sometimes forget about some of the canned goods I have stored too. I'm just guilty of that. And I'll just kind of look at something closer to me in the kitchen or in this pantry in my kitchen, and I'll pick that as a side dish. And I'll forget about all the purple hulls I have and all the different cans of corns and things I have. So I want to put some of this stuff closer to me. When we were getting ready to move and I was really organizing my pantry to look good in photographs and to look good when people came over, I did all my food by year. And I pulled out all the things at the time that said 2019 still. And I put them on my kitchen cabinet for a while until we were getting ready to show the house. And I put them on the cabinet, and I made myself include those items every night in my meal planning. I worked all of my meals around whatever I had left until we used it all up, and we used it all up. I think I'm still gonna do that with my 2020 stuff, because while yes, you can crack open a jar of things after 5, 7, even 10 years, and sometimes it's perfectly fine. Normally, for me, for the recommendation, you kind of want to rotate it out every 3rd year. So this is 2023. So some of this 2020 stuff needs to be rotated out. So that's what I'm going to do. And that's kind of opening the can of worms I keep talking about. So I'm not doing all that on camera because it's going to be a job. It's going to be a big old job that's going to make a big old mess. Because with jar foods, you can't just stack 12 of them all up in your arms and go running around your house with them. You have to be really careful with those jars. You don't want them clanking on each other. You don't want to drop one. You don't want to have to set them down really fast because you're losing them and end up breaking some. So you really can just carry a few at the time and go put them where you need to put them. And I'm going to have to do some shuffling and rotating. So it's going to be a project. I told you on the last video that I'm canning a lot of things out of my freezer. My harvest from this spring, from the beans and things like that. I still have things I'm going to be harvesting, but the things I've harvested thus far, I wanted to get canned the wild hog meat from the hog that my nephew shot the other day. I wanted to get canned because should we have a hurricane or what have you, I don't want to be stuck with a freezer full of my fresh harvest that I worked so hard for. I didn't want to be stuck with that wild hog in my freezer. I wanted to go ahead and do something with it. So what I'm doing, my commitment that I'm making to myself to make sure that I don't put myself in a position of losing a lot of food, is it's a three-pronged thing. First, just organizing my jars to make sure the 2020 stuff comes first. Second, to use things out of my freezer to make sure that I have less to lose should we have a hurricane or a bad storm system come through. And the third is to actually make myself cook and eat the older things that I'm pulling forward out of my pantry. So it's a three-pronged process, but that's what I'm working on. I would be curious to know how it's going with you. Are you overwhelmed right now with things from your garden to can? Does organizing your pantry drive you crazy? How's it going? Do you have a lot of food to rotate? Do you rotate it? Do you try to make yourself rotate it? Is it hard? Or is there a black hole at the back of your pantry where all this stuff is that you've forgotten what you made and what you cooked, and now you're a little scared to use it? I'd be curious to hear how other people feel about some things like that. All right, I got her done. All I had to do was use this shelf. I didn't have to use my closet shelf right now because I didn't have enough that I needed to put there. It really wasn't going to work to put my pint jars there. And I was able to fit all of the quart jars on this shelf. So all of the jars you see here are 2020 jars. I was even able to work in this whole section, even behind this little piece here. That's all dehydrated food. Now, it's not necessarily 2020, but it's all my jars of dehydrated onions and corn and mixed vegetables. And I actually keep forgetting I have those too. Kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I thought, well, I have the space on this. Let me bring those out and let me get them in my eyesight. And so hopefully I'll start using them so that that won't go to waste, the money I spent on those, so that I could dehydrate them. And so I put them out here. I did go ahead and put a few pint jars of some corn from 2019 that I forgot I had. And then I had a lot of little jars of kale, collard greens, and some 7-top turnip greens. I put those out here because I had all kind of other things I could have put out here that were dated 2020 in pint jars. But I'm putting these out here because I really need to be eating that. Those greens are good vitamins, and I really need to be eating on those. So I thought, let me just put them right here in my eyesight. When I'm sitting here cooking at night, there they are. So that's what I did. I also had a few cans of peaches and apples down here from 2019 that I must have missed. So they're there along with some Irish potatoes. And then there's all kind of other things down here. Sweet potatoes, canned chicken breast. I still use those all the time. So I know I'll use my chicken breast, no problem. There's a lot more green beans in the middle. My cherry tomatoes, some Roma tomatoes that look beautiful. Don't know why I haven't used those yet, just out of sight, out of mind. And then to finish off at the end, I have some more pint-sized green beans. And then a bunch of ghee, which I made a while back. And I like to use ghee. I just simply forgot it was on my shelf. And the ghee is not the only surprise I found on my shelves. Let me go show you another room and I'll tell you what I found. I found pickles. I found these bread and butter pickles from 2019. And then all of these, about the first 2 rows down this side, are from 2020. And then all of these in the front are from 2020. I think the first 2 rows. After that, I get back here to the stuff I just canned in 2023. I thought I had more pickles. I was very confused as to why I had run out so quickly. But when we were moving, I was giving away food. I gave away a lot of my jar food. And I just thought, well, I guess I gave away a lot of pickles. But where I found them was on this bottom shelf. But they were way in the back. And then I had stacked all of my empty jars. Some of these packages hadn't even been opened yet. I've just kind of saved a lot of jars through the years. But I had stacked them to the side of the cabinet, so I just couldn't see the pickles that were behind those quart jars. So add that to the pickles that I did this year, and I don't know, I can't even tell you how many jars it is. I hadn't counted them, but it's all of these rows all the way over and all the way to the back. So I've got pickles, no need to worry about that. I will have to go ahead at some point and organize my closet, but I think it's going to involve going ahead and building a few extra shelves in there. That's the only way it's going to work, because I have a lot of overload of pint-sized jars that I would need to move to that area. And I'm not going to put pint-sized jars and have all that real estate above it go to waste. So I probably will, at least on one shelf area, I might could even fit 2 shelves, and that would make it 3 levels of pint-sized jars that I could put there. I could go stick them here, there, and yonder. It would be easy to just find somewhere in my house to put a bunch of canned goods. But I'm just the kind of person that needs them to stay organized. I need them to stay in date order. I won't rotate them if they're all over my house. I just won't do that. I won't rotate them if they're behind my pots in a cabinet and I have to go find them. It's not going to happen. I need them to be with their own grouping. I need the black-eyed peas to be together. I need the purple whole peas to be together. I need corn and carrots and everything to be together. And then I put it in date order. And it just is a little bit of pain every now and then. It is a little bit of aggravation to have to shuffle these jars. If you're gonna prep, and you're gonna do it to where you're not wasting your money and your time and your energy, that's the 2 main things. I don't want to waste my time and my energy. But if you're going to do it in that way, you have to rotate out your jars. You just have to. And you have to use up that old food if at all possible. Trying to tick these things off my list. Try to keep a lot of balls juggling, getting ready for hurricanes, going through food, rotating food, working on my garden. But that's just how it goes. And I know everybody's all up in it too. So I appreciate y'all watching me. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. Please like and subscribe and come join me on this journey that we're going on here in South Louisiana. Thank y'all so much. You have a great day. Bye-bye.